Mike, today we're talking about episode 44, Framing the Narrative, Evolution of a Storyteller with Heather Alicia Knox. She is one of our common language digital storytelling facilitators. She's been around for a while. This was the second time that she'd come on the
Mhm.
podcast. It was released in October of 2025. What resonated for you in that conversation?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Heather, she has been around for a while. She's also runs all the administration for Common Language now, and so she's fully integrated, into the ecosystem. What I loved about it, though, was she talked about how important for her the Common Language Collective is, right?
Mhm.
And she talked about the importance of having a community around you of storytellers. And man, as she was talking about it, I was just thinking to herself, man, or to myself, I was thinking, man, like this is amazing. That's exactly what I wanted, right? It's what I
Mhm.
wanted for years. It was the whole idea of Common Language is I wanted to connect with other people, have a community of storytellers. And so it was a really reflective moment for me to think like, wow, we maybe actually accomplished what we set out to do, 6 years ago when we first started Common Language. Right now there's this amazing community of people who are doing this work. And so yeah, that was it was a how to say this, it was a proud dad moment. I don't know the other word for it.
No, that makes
You're proud.
sense. Everybody will
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're just like, wow, it's happened. Like you just sort of look at this community and think, wow, this what a cool group of people. And I felt really grateful in that moment, just like all parents do, right? You see your kids doing something cool and you just feel really excited for them, right? And proud. And so that was one thing, that a very personal thing that came out. But I liked the thing how she talked about how it never gets old watching someone watch their story. She's
Mhm.
like, it never gets old. And she talked about, setting up her own little film festival and things like that. And I love that because I think to me, that's one of the things that it's hard to explain until people experience a story screening, and just watching someone watch their own life up on the screen. It's for a facilitator, from a facilitator standpoint, it is sort of life changing to say, I had a hand in supporting someone have this moment, right? And so I know you've had so many of those moments too, right, with your arts play screenings and things like that. But I loved hearing Heather talk about that, from a legacy standpoint. People
Yeah.
who've lived very long, colorful, productive lives, being able to see their story up on the screen and to be reliving all these moments, and you can see it on their face. They're like, wow, I've lived a life, and I like the life that I lived, and I'm proud of these moments, even getting through these difficulties. I love that. So her legacy storytelling stuff is really cool, and I'm hoping maybe someday I get to do a lot more of that as well.
Right. And so I just find it interesting too. Like we talk about our common language facilitators, they come from all over the place. Some are involved with research.
Yeah.
Heather was a photographer. She was also the executive director of a nonprofit. And so those different
Yeah.
experiences that people bring, you don't need to be in one area to try out digital
Mm.
storytelling and take the facilitator training. And I think I really see
Yeah.
that with Heather because she created a few stories about the nonprofit project that she was on, and then it
Yeah.
turned into the legacy, right? Like it
Yeah. Yeah.
as
it
she
started it
progressed,
started
she
doing
found
non for
different ways.
profits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so will you talk
Yeah.
about the page to screen for a second? Because you guys have run a bit of a workshop through the guided autobiography work that she's also learned since becoming a
Yeah.
facilitator.
Yeah, yeah. So we've worked with a lot of GAB facilitators, so people who've done the guided autobiography training, to create their own digital stories about, different important moments in their life, and the life reminiscence literature is very
Mhm.
interesting. Like the legacy storytelling stuff. There's a whole world out there of helping people as they get older, as they age, figure out what stories they need to share and pass on to the next generation, right? And
Yep.
reflect on their own lives. So yeah, that page to screen, basically, they write these guided autobiography stories, and we said, take one of your stories and let's turn it into a digital story. And
Yeah.
uh, and so they all. The funny thing was, they all just ended up writing new stories,
Oh, do they?
right? So
Oh,
yeah,
funny.
because they love the story writing part,
Yep.
right? So in the end, we're like, oh yeah, let's write a new story and then find the images. And also one thing I learned from that is the images sometimes can be a really great catalyst for new stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're just thinking about it as something you're writing on a page, and you're not thinking visually about it, that really does change the way that you approach it, right? And so it is interesting how the images sort of can influence the story and vice versa, right?
Yep. Yep.
It's a bi-directional process sometimes, and you as a photographer know that, right? Like the photos sometimes can start the story,
Yeah.
but it was sort of cool to see that with people who are very experienced in writing sort of reflective stories about their own lives. To see them sort of view the visual aspect of it as well. And so some of those stories are incredible. And we did a kitchen table night with one of those stories, Barbara, and Barbara's story is just it's just such an amazing story about her mother and her experience during World War II, right? And so anyways, lots of opportunities for Heather and for the Common Language Collective to help people reflect back on their lives in meaningful ways.
Well, Mike, thanks for coming on and talking about Heather's episode. We were talking about episode 44, Framing the Narrative, Evolution of a Storyteller with Heather Alicia Knox. Thanks a lot.